So the numbers for the NFL games on Netflix came out on Christmas Day, and they're actually pretty good. And then the NBA numbers came out also, and then not so great. So let's tackle the NFL first. So Ravens Texans did 24.3. Chiefs Steelers did 24.1. And these are the most streamed NFL games in U.S. history, which is a lot. And viewers for Raven Texans with Pete on the Beyonce Bowl, which is Beyonce's halftime, for over 27 million viewers. These are really good numbers. Like, I actually expected the Beyonce number to be higher, which is quite interesting. But I think if it was on free TV, those numbers would have been drastically higher, right? Totally different. Like, it's always different, like the Super Bowl numbers versus these numbers, right? Because it's Christmas Day, people are together. But again, everybody doesn't have Netflix. But these numbers are solid. I don't believe when they say it's unduplicated audiences. Like, it's 24.3 and 24.1. Listen, it's been a while since I've been over to someone else's house for the holidays. But usually when you go over to someone's house, they have a game on. And, they just put the game on and just go. Like when the NBA, like back in the, like if we go 10 years ago with the NBA, you put that game on ABC and it's 12 o'clock and it just sits there the whole time. So that's how that usually goes. Do I think there are some people that kind of bounce between games? Sure. Some people that watch the Texans and they didn't watch the Chiefs, or some people watch the Chiefs and then watch the Texans. Yeah, fine. But I think the audiences are about the same. But here's the thing. I know Roger Goodell and the NFL are rubbing their hands together like the Birdman. It's like, ooh, more money coming. Ooh, more streaming money. It's like, listen. So more and more sports leagues are looking at streaming as the next great frontier. Just like once upon a time, all games was on free TV and then they went to cable. So I see this, but I'm telling everybody that's not the best way to go, because we don't know how the streaming wars are going to go, because there's too many platforms. You got Netflix, you got Hulu, you got Disney Plus, you got Peacock, you got Amazon Prime, you got all these different channels, man. And people are just paying left and right. Yeah, once upon a time, like 10 years ago, yeah, streaming was super cheap. And it wasn't that many back then. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it did make more sense to cut the cord on cable and go to streaming, because streaming wasn't that expensive. But if you start putting all these things together, it is rivaling a cable bill or close to a cable bill. And these prices are not going down. And also, listen, man, it's the Christmas season. They say, hey, all these people are flying around the country and going to visit people, and they spent all these billions of dollars on Black Friday. Yeah, a lot of that is on credit cards. Like, hopefully, when we go into 2025, there won't be mass layoffs all over the place. But with AI taking over so many different jobs, and then you go in the stores and they have self-checkouts, even though they're pulling those back, I see more people losing their jobs, man. And people who lose their jobs, they got to start looking at their finances and say, man, what can we cut? Was it a want or a need? You need your lights. You don't need Netflix. I love Netflix. You don't need it. So I'm sure that the NFL is saying, man, we need to put more games on Netflix. And the coverage was actually pretty good, right? It wasn't like the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fight that was buffering. Like, it actually was, they worked out all the bugs. It turned out to be fine. And I think next season we'll probably get probably 2 or 3 NFL games. We'll probably get some games maybe on Thanksgiving, and probably a few others. We might have about five to 6 different times on Netflix where they'll have some games. But here's the thing. The reason why the NFL is number one, and again, I love the NBA too. I'm not one of those people who hate the NBA. I don't know who these people are who hate the NBA. The NBA is fine. They just don't have as many stars as they used to. But the reason why the NFL is number one is that they're on free TV. Every Sunday night you can watch Sunday Night Football on NBC. And every Sunday afternoon in the fall after church, or you're just hanging out, you can watch games on Fox and CBS for free. And this is great for senior citizens. A lot of senior citizens, they have to watch their budgets and they can't afford Amazon Prime and Netflix. But they enjoy watching these games on the free networks. And luckily, I think the NFL's contract with them doesn't run out to 2028. So that's good for the next few years. And we don't know financially where we will be as a country. If wages stay the same and rent keeps on getting higher and mortgages keep on getting higher and food keep on getting higher, like car payments, insurance, Like people going to have to start looking at, man, do I need a streaming platform or do I have to pay this rent? So if I'm the NFL, yeah, I'm looking at Netflix and yeah, you're going to add more games over there. But if you think that you should, with the next contract, and I'm sure they say, hey, we're going to take we'll keep half the games on NBC and CBS and NBC, but we're going to put more of these games on Amazon Prime and Netflix. I don't think that's a good way to go. I really don't. I say keep the structure you got, add some more games on these different platforms, but kind of keep it where it is. Because I think if you start saying like, well, we're just going to go full streaming, I don't think it's going to work. I really don't long term. Now, speaking of that, so we got the NBA. The NBA, Adam Silver got mad at David Zaslav, the head of Warner Bros. Discovery, because Zaslav is an idiot who said the TNT, which is under Warner Discovery, doesn't need the NBA. Adam Silver got mad, and then when the contract was up, he took the games over to NBC, Peacock, and Amazon Prime. I think that was a tragic mistake. Now, money-wise, the league is flush for cash. Those contracts are huge, but I just don't think the fans are going to follow the NBA over to these streaming platforms just because you're losing star power. So if you look at the games on Christmas Day, the Lakers and Warriors had the highest rating. They had 7.7, right? The lowest rating, I believe, was the last game, Nuggets versus Suns, and that was KD versus Joker. That was 3.8. Now, a lot of people probably had to go back to work the next day because Christmas was on a Wednesday. So they say, hey, I got to go to bed. Plus, there was a whole slate of games. You were just kind of burnt out by then. So there's that. Even though Joker and KD are big time stars, but that's not a great rating. The rating that is troubling to me was Minnesota versus Dallas. That's Ant-Man versus Luka. And you have Kyrie in there too. I'm still a Kyrie guy. But you basically is Luka and Ant-Man. And those guys, when LeBron eventually and Steph eventually leaves the league, Luka and Ant-Man are going to be the faces of the league. And that rating was like a 4.3. That's not good. When you look at the first game, it was Knicks versus San Antonio. You have Wemby, and Wemby is just killing the game, right? But he's not that popular. And even though their rating was a 4.9, Wemby doesn't have star power. And again, it's nothing against Ant-Man or Wemby or Luka. They aren't LeBron, and they're not Steph. And eventually, LeBron's going to retire. And I think that's going to be next year. I think LeBron wants the whole Dr. J thing. I think he wants the retirement. I think he wants the retirement tour. So I think next year might be the last year of LeBron. It'll be the spring. It'll be the winter and spring of LeBron. So I think that's going to happen next year. But when he leaves, there's going to be people who's not going to watch the game as much. Same thing with Steph. Steph's going to retire in about 3 or 4 years. That's a lot of star power gone. And I don't think the fans care enough about Wemby and Ant-Man at this juncture to follow them over to Peacock and Amazon. Even though they got Taylor Rooks over there. And I love a Taylor Rooks. But no, that's not going to help it. So I think the NBA made a mistake on that. But when it comes to the NFL, man, I'm telling them, like, I understand the financial aspect of streaming seems very lucrative and very appealing, but you got to remember that the bulk of your fans watch these games on free TV. The biggest mistake the NFL could ever make, and I don't think they will ever do it, if they move the Super Bowl from whatever network, NBC, ABC, CBS, whatever it is, and move it to Amazon or Netflix. They should never move the Super Bowl at all to Netflix, Amazon, or Peacock, or any streaming platform. Because instead of getting like, I don't know how many it is, like 100 million people watching it, you're going to have like maybe 30 million people watching it. That cuts off. And advertisers aren't going to pay. It's like, why should we advertise over here? We're not even getting the same people to watch the games than when it was on CBS or Fox. So, Roger Goodell, I see you smiling like this at these numbers, at these Netflix numbers. Like, yeah, but I'm telling you, long term, yeah, put some games over there on Netflix. That it's a good product. But man, keep your games on NBC, CBS, Fox, or ABC if they get back into the game, or the CW. Don't do it, Roger. I see those dollar signs. Think about the senior citizens. Think about the fans who really love your game.